Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the December 9th meeting of the Revere City Council Zoning Subcommittee. We have two matters on the agenda this evening, which I'll introduce in a few moments. First of all, I want to introduce our City Councilors, Councilor Rigo Correggio, Janino, who are on my subcommittee, Councilor Guanasso, Councilor Patch, and Councilor Novoselsky, and Councilor Zambuda, who's just joined us, our City Councils who are also here. A couple of things. Anybody who wants to sit down, I've been advised that there is a television in the auditorium or the half auditorium next door to us. If you want to sit down, the police officers will take you over there. If not, please try to be as quiet as possible back there. This is going to be kind of a lengthy meeting for what we normally do up here. I think the first thing I want to do is make some explanations as to what we're doing here. We're discussing the issue at hand, which is strictly limited to requested zoning changes in two particular parcels in Revere. The second one of which I anticipate would be most controversial would be the permit for the PDD1 zone, which would essentially expand its use and change some otherwise restrictive dimensions regarding what's allowed in that district, and again, potentially to allow a casino, among other uses, to be established in that zone. We're not here to discuss the general efficacy of a casino. That decision, to the extent that the citizens of Revere have not already decided that they want it, is going to be made essentially by the Gaming Commission. The public hearing on this matter was held last week. At that point, citizens had an opportunity, and people who aren't citizens of Revere also had an opportunity to speak and offer their opinions. This is not a public hearing this evening, okay? This is a deliberation. The zoning subcommittee is the deliberative body. We're here to accept information strictly at our discretion. We're here to accept information that we consider necessary to enlighten this issue. And that essentially is whether or not this particular zoning district is appropriate for a casino, and whether the changes in the required limitations on the dimensions for such a development make sense in light of the interests of the citizens of Revere. So that's what we're here for tonight. It'll be the privilege of the subcommittee, through the chair, my name is Stephen Reardon, to select or choose who may or may not speak. And again, it'll be on the basis of what enlightens this decision. As you know, I had the city clerk pass around some sheets. I've gotten a few back. Hopefully they've explained what information those who wish to speak can offer this subcommittee to, again, enlighten this issue. And that was the purpose of it, and that's the purpose of this meeting, and that's the purpose of any public speaking at this meeting. I will ask you to maintain decorum here today. I recognize that some of this, the second issue in particular, is very highly charged. However, we have to insist that all persons in this chamber and in the building act with the highest level of decorum, respect for the diversity of opinion and dignity of public discourse. So it will not be, no shouting or shouting down of speakers will be tolerated. I expect everybody to speak respectfully and understand that everybody's got an opinion and a right to it. So that having been said, we'll get on to the first matter, and that matter is a petition to change the zoning in certain number of parcels, all of which have been designated in the tonight's calendar from an RB district to a technology enterprise district. Otherwise, we'll call it TED for the evening, as its appellation is known in our parlance. And as is our custom, I would ask the proposer of the zoning change to step forward, state your name, and offer a brief explanation, with the understanding again that this was already done at a public hearing.
Thank you, members of the subcommittee. Mr. Chairman, Joseph Cottogio, 1 Sprague Street, Revere, representing the applicant. With the application before you, seeking to change their zoning to a TED district zoning. The number of lots are extensive, and they're prepared and laid out in the application. Basically, as we indicated with the initial proposal, we are looking to just increase some flexibility on the availability of future development. We have nothing proposed at this time as far as anything specific. It is used as a residential area right now, but given the possibility of adjoining development, we believe it's in the best interest of obviously my client and the City of Revere to increase the flexibility in this area. Obviously, any specific proposal or change would come back before you, before the council, as well as site plan review, and all of the relevant departments of the City of Revere. We would always hope to have cooperation and would work closely with all of the departments. We have presented this before site plan review. You see their report in the application as well. And given what's behind me, I'm going to end it there and ask if there's any questions. We're available to answer, but we would hope that we could get a favorable ruling on this application.
Would anybody else like to speak on this particular application at this point, whether in favor or otherwise? I'll entertain that. We did pass around again a brief sign-in sheet, and no one responded at that point. But if anybody has changed their mind in the public, I would listen. And otherwise, I'll start with Councilor Rigo, if you have anything as a subcommittee member.
No comment.
Thank you. Councilor Correggio?
Yes, I would support the zoning change. That'll be a catalyst in that area for Suffolk Downs. Hopefully we can get some commercial development and clean up that area down there. So hopefully this will pass. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Correggio. Councilor Janino? Any other city council like to speak on this? Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I represent the neighbors across the street from this development and a potential change, I should say. And looking at the parcel that's being rezoned from an RB includes the trailer park, and I want everybody to understand that this does not have any direct bearing on Suffolk Downs. This is a private enterprise that's doing this. What we're doing here is potentially allowing them to build a hotel there, and which I do have some issues with based on the neighbors, and it will drastically block people's views from Boston. I mean, beautiful views from Boston. And I would hope that based on that they work with myself and the neighbors when they do get a potential facility at that location, that work with us to position it to do our best and their best, not to block the view. You know, and I was up in this couple people's homes there. And, you know, they can see the fireworks during July 4th, and they can see the beautiful Zakim Bridge from their house. That's how far they can see. And I would ask them specifically to work with us to make sure and locate the building in the best potential location on the lot to so it won't obstruct as many people as possible. I know when you have 12-story building, it's tough to do, but you know, people that are along the parkway have an issue, and I want you to be aware of that and to be very cognizant that when we do it, that we have neighborhood meetings. I know the neighbors next door on Pratt Place, this property will abut their house directly, so I mean they will be able to look into the second floor of the hotel if that's what happens. And the same thing on the people on Green Street. So I know it's not my district, but I'm still concerned about all the neighbors. So I want you to be aware of that, and I have some concerns, and I'll hold my decision on what I'm going to do at that time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President. Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Based on the concern and sensitivity for area residents, we have to understand and take that under our advisement. But the nature of the area that we're speaking about, for the past several years, many residents within our community have stated they would like to see something other than a trailer park in that location. It's not the nicest looking facility, and it's also brings a certain element that when people talk about areas, that breeds a certain element for some reason or other that's high visibility to crime and wrongdoing, unfortunately. And that's a matter of police record. We could research that. But aesthetically, and I appreciate very much the fact that those residents will lose somewhat of a view to the Boston and their view of the fireworks on July 4th and the Saken Bridge and all that stuff. But I think a hotel will be a heck of a lot nicer looking than a trailer park. And I think anybody who invests in our community, in the monies that it would take to put a hotel in that area, would certainly be more aesthetically pleasing to everybody, not only the area residents, but all of the residents of Revere. And for those people who chose to go through that area, I think to me, the aesthetic value will outweigh any inconvenience it weighs on a few homeowners. And I appreciate the fact how they feel. I am very mindful of that. And I was mindful of the fact that I didn't want the trees going up around Revere Beach. I thought it would block the view of some of the area residents there in their condos. But now we know that not to be true. So don't be afraid of something you don't know. I am afraid of what I see, and I would like to see that changed. And thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be really brief. I think the applicant said it best. They're looking for some flexibility there. That, we certainly know there can be a better use than what's there now. And any way we can facilitate that up here, I think is in the best interest of the city. So for that reason, I will be supporting this change. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Allow me to welcome Councilor Powers to the chamber this evening. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Councilor Granasso. I just think the trailer park there, considering my experience, I'm more concerned about the public safety matter of the trailer park. My experience of 32 years on the police, and I fear for the policemen working today. We just had a vicious murder down there this past year. I think the neighbors would, as of the last meeting we had, the person that spoke opposed to it, I think most of the issues that she brought up would be resolved with the hotel. And mainly, I think it's a lot more safety-wise for public safety. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Giannino. Council Vice President Giannino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate some of the comments made by the other councilors, and I do think that this will directly impact some of the residents, but I think that we're all aware of that, and I agree with Councilor Novoselsky that hopefully community meetings will take place before that. And my only other concern that I've got regarding this project is to make sure that any proposed developments will be union developments, so if we could check that out. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please excuse me for my tardiness this evening. There was a major water breakdown on the Parkway and Winthrop Avenue section, and that was the reason for my being late. I have long looked at this trailer park down there as a blight on the city. I think it's something that is, long overdue. The original owners of the trailer park who operated it down there did a very effective and efficient job. And that's not to say that the present operator isn't doing that. But I think in light of the problems we've had down there, in light of the fact that this is not the highest and best use for that trailer park, certainly we all know that a hotel down there or something of that nature would bring in so much additional revenue to the city. The Comfort Inn, for instance, gives the city $500,000 a year between the room excise tax and the real estate tax. In addition to that, there are people out there today that are unemployed, that are looking for work. There are many people in the construction trades that are out there that are looking for work. So I think that anything we can do down there to facilitate the change down there in the building of a hotel, a commercial development, would be a benefit to the city. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Well, speaking from the chair, I would echo the statements made by my fellow city councilors. I think, and again, this is with respect to those who live down there, meaning no disrespect to them whatsoever. I think that area, that use in that area has pretty well run its course. And at this point, especially given the fact that I think what has been said by some of the councils is true, hotel development is, I think, very much in the interests of our citizens in Revere for a number of different reasons. And I believe that this is the type of thing that we're actually promoting more and more in the city. I see the mayor and his development director here tonight, and I think they would concur that the hotel development is the kind of thing we're looking for in the city, and that's one thing that runs the gamut of everybody, probably everybody who's here tonight. So I'd be seeking a motion to report this out favorably from the subcommittee. Councilor Correggio?
Yes.
All in favor? This matter will be reported out favorably to the council as a whole this evening, which is pretty much all here, with the exception of Councilor Penta, Councilor Hass, who won't be here, I understand, at a meeting starting at about 6 o'clock tonight. Attorney Cottagio, if you would like to stick around, you certainly may.
We will. Thank you.
Thank you
all.
The second matter that's on before us today is CZ-13-06, which is a requested zoning amendment requested by Sterling Suffolk Downs LLC, changing relative to the PDD1 district and defining uses as well as a number of dimensional changes to the PDD1 district. Once again, as is our custom, I'll ask the representatives of the moving party to introduce themselves and explain briefly, hopefully, what this zoning change does.
Good evening, Chairman Reardon. Good evening, City Councilors. For the record, my name is Attorney Jerry D'Ambrosio. My office is located at 14 Proctor Avenue, Revere, Massachusetts. On behalf of my client, Sterling Suffolk Racecourse and Mohegan Sun, I want to thank you all for considering our application for zoning change at the PDD1 district off of Winthrop Ave in Revere, Massachusetts. As you know, Mohegan Sun is proposing the construction of a first-class, top-shelf resort casino at that site. And while we're not here before you tonight with absolute specifics, rather we're here about the broad zoning envelope for this PDD1 district, we have a team which will be presenting. The individual speaking tonight will be Chip Tuttle, as you all know, the Chief Operating Officer at Suffolk Downs. Also tonight speaking will be Hugh Trumbull. He is a principal at the architectural firm of KPF. And then finally, I will come up again at the end to detail the zoning relief request that's encompassed in the application, as well as that memorandum of law that was circulated at the public hearing for this honorable board. I will say we have a number of other individuals here tonight that are part of the team. While they will not be presenting in our affirmative statement, they will be made available during this hearing for your questioning. Here tonight is Lloyd Segal. He is the managing principal of KPF. From Mohegan Sun, we have Toby Arnenheim. He is the Senior Vice President of Project Management. We also have from Mohegan Sun, Paul Tresnan. He is the Director of Program Management. And also from Mohegan Sun, we have Kurt Strom, the Project Manager for what is being proposed. In addition, we have two engineers. We have David Black. He is a traffic engineer. He is a senior project manager at VHB. We also have engineer Scott Turner. He is the director of planning at Niche Engineering as well. Again, they will not all be presenting, but they have been brought here and are made available for any questioning that you may have. So at this point, again, I thank you. I thank you for your consideration, and I'll be back up at the end. I'm going to ask Chip Tuttle to please come to the podium. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Chairman Reardon, members of the committee, on behalf of everybody at Suffolk Downs, thank you very much for your consideration. Close enough? Chip Tuttle, Chief Operating Officer, Suffolk Downs. First, and I'll be very brief out of respect to everybody's time, but I have been asked to address our 78-year tradition of racing at the facility. Due to some of the recent developments, and I want to briefly hit on that, we are resolved to continue racing at Suffolk Downs and steadfast in that commitment, as you heard last week here from Richard Fields, albeit under much more challenging circumstances than we anticipated weeks ago. We have pledged to work with the Massachusetts Gaming Commission and the family of hardworking horsemen and women at our facility on how we do that moving forward should Mohegan Sun's application be successful and should gaming development occur on our property. And it is important that we restate that as often as we can. As you know, we have been working for years with the City of Revere to bring gaming development to the property, and that goal is very close at hand with our new gaming partners from Mohegan Sun. Having leased, with Mohegan Sun having leased a significant parcel of our land in Revere for the purpose of developing a world-class destination resort in your city. This development will produce unparalleled economic benefits for the City of Revere, a capital investment of approximately $1 billion, 2,500 construction jobs over a approximately 27-month construction cycle, and 4,000 permanent jobs upon completion, with job readiness, hiring, and training and preferences for Revere residents. Millions of dollars of much-needed investment in major road and infrastructure improvements in your city, along with a commitment to work with you and other neighboring communities on regional traffic and infrastructure solutions. Local business partnerships with annual spending benchmarks for Revere businesses, upfront payments for key city capital projects, and an annual revenue stream that will help the city fund other priority services and projects for the benefits of local residents and local businesses. In addition to those direct benefits, we hear, like you, that several developers stand poised to invest in Revere should our project move forward. It's something we're very excited about. Our friends from Mohegan Sun will take you through some initial conceptual renderings of their vision for the property. While those are impressive, as Mitchell Ettis, the CEO of Mohegan Sun, said here last week, we've been working around the clock, and we pledge to be back before the entire City Council in the coming weeks for a more definitive presentation of Mohegan Sun's design and development concepts. For today, we have renderings to help you understand the context for the zoning changes that we have asked you to consider. Hugh Trumbull of KPF, the lead architects on the project, will take you through those, and then Jerry will take you through the specific zoning requests. And of course, we are available to answer any questions, and thank you again for your time and consideration.
I'm going to wake up the computer here. Hello, I'm Hugh Trumbull, an architect with KPF. We're at 11 West 57th Street. Excuse me, 11 West 42nd Street is the old office. I've been asked to come before you to talk a little bit about the design. I speak on behalf of Mohegan Sun. Tony Armheim has been working with me in great detail. So we have a little technical difficulty here. So one of the attributes of what we've been looking to do is threefold. First is that we wanted to bring a resort experience, a gaming casino experience to Massachusetts and here in Revere. That's an important aspect. The idea of resort is very critical. It's an experience that moves away from the standard experience, something that's unique and something that's powerful. Something that KPF has done world over many times, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, and this is something that we're very involved with. The second attribute that we're interested in here is to create a viable working plan for the casino so that we get the greatest synergy of the space with the products that are within the resort experience. So that means between the casino, between the food and beverage program, the shopping experience, the arrival experience, the natural landscape that surrounds it, it all works together to create the most economically viable part of Revere that we can bring to the table. The last is really something that's important to the gestural aspect of the architecture. How can the architecture begin to reach out and support, bolster, we create a little bit of a genesis seed for new growth within the town of Revere and for the extended environment. And the design that we've come up with, which has happened in short order, is, as Mr. Test talked to you last time, is a fledgling project. We're just beginning to get into it. What we have before you is a test fit. We're trying different things to find out what is the best solution for the town and for the Mohegan Sun Resort experience. So that being said, the slide that's before you is a colored diagram. It represents the various components of the resort. The first and foremost is the red piece, which is the casino itself. Now, the idea of that is really that it works with the track. When you fly over the site, the track has a significant figure in the landscape. People see it, everyone knows Suffolk Downs. So what the red does, the casino does, is it begins to reinforce the figure of the track. It offers a dialogue to extend the gaming of the track into the experience of gaming. So it associates those two things with each other. The second piece in the diagram is the retail component. That's the yellow component that you see in the diagram before you. It is a critical link because that is the flow within the casino. It's the promenade, if you will. It's the see and be seen that makes the resort experience something special and unique. So that ties two green pieces together. The first on the right, I don't have a, maybe you can point to it. Here, maybe this is better. Cool. There's a Portico Share experience right here. Maybe, Emma, if you can track this with the mouse. Sorry, all right. Trying to juggle both these two things at the same time. Why don't you hold it? There you go. All right. There are two green spots. Those green spots represent entrances. What we want to do is create a resort entrance, a very big and powerful, strong entrance that represents a new place, a world-class establishment. There's another green spot on the side, which is located near the T. The Beachmont exit or entrance is from that side. Beachmont is a small village. It has a smaller scale to it. So we want to bring that casino entrance down so it's appropriately sized. And then the retail really moves through back and forth from those two entrances to really tie the complex together. The last aspect is this purple figure that we have off to the right, or excuse me, to the left. That includes a hotel and what we've been calling as a concept retail. It might be colored yellow, but at this point, we're searching for the right program, the right addition to the casino that will give the piece life. And it becomes a kind of a counterpoint to the casino aspect, and it's something that's much more playful in a way, maybe a little bit more family-oriented. Above the two are two hotels. Now, we're looking at that as well. We're thinking that there is about 550 rooms between the two hotels, that they will be broken up a little bit heavier weighted on the casino hotel. And then when we decide exactly what the concept for this retail experience is, we'll finalize the numbers for the casino, the hotel that works with that piece. So all that being said, there's one more component, and that's parking. The idea of the parking here is that we slip it underneath the whole podium, that creating a podium that is large and expansive, we don't really want to sacrifice the side area that we have to a parking plate. So we slide it in underneath, and we get a great synergistic floor plate, a large synergistic floor plate that allows that retail, the gaming, the food and beverage, and this concept of the retail experience to work as a whole and to work as a complete environment. That being said, it's a financially difficult model, so we are working with Toby and his team to figure out how that works as best we can. The next image that I'd like to show you is a very critical image. I guess we're going to have to go to the board here. Okay. So this, this image is really about how the casino works into the environment and how landscape plays an enormous part in setting the foreground for the casino building structure. So before you, this big sweeping curve reinforces the overall racetrack. It greens this surface. A large ramp rises up to the porte cochere, which is this piece here, over the wetlands reserve. So the wetlands reserve moves right through here. This is a landscape ramp that allows us to essentially expand the wetlands reserve and then improve it in this lower level, and allows us to really utilize this parcel of the land in a way that's very productive to creating a resort experience. You're creating that movement through like an Italian garden, coming up a level, up about 25 feet to an established porte cochere, and then moving through the complex. All around the building, you'll see that we're trying to integrate a landscape buffer. And that's a really critical aspect because we feel that the town of Revere has got wonderful trees and planting around it. We want to bring that right up and integrate it into the casino proper. All right? The last image is, as Mitch attests, is a rendering that we, again, it's a bit of a placeholder, but it's our first stab at really looking at the power of bringing to Revere a world-class resort experience. Two flanking towers on the right and the left define this porte cochere. A large canopy floats over top and defines the arrival sequence, bringing the patron up and through to a very unique experience that's separated from the everyday life. A nice garden is planted in the foreground that one moves through and becomes a gift back to the city and part of the entrance sequence to Revere as you come from South Boston. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Hugh. Councilors, thank you. Last, but hopefully not least, I'd like to talk a little bit about the zoning relief that's been requested in the application before you. But before I do that, I think it's imperative that I reemphasize a point that I brought up at the public hearing and at the same time that Chip Tuttle has brought up numerous times. This particular parcel, the PDD1 parcel off of Winthrop Avenue, obviously in Revere, which is right here on the parcel map, is already zoned for gaming use. As we stand here today, it's already zoned for gaming use. That was done back in 1996, okay? That gaming use amendment that was enacted by this city council back in 1996 was further amended in 2007 by adding a number of other definitions. But again, it's important to remember that here, we're not talking about whether gaming is appropriate for this site, because this city council already ruled many, many moons ago that it was appropriate for this site. So all we're talking about is a zoning envelope, if you will. A zoning envelope that will help us build a top-tier, first-class city. People have come up to me in Revere over the last week and said to me, well, what exactly does that mean? So really, by way of analogy, I was trying to think of a simple way that folks can grasp it. It's almost like going out and purchasing a top-end Armani suit, like the many that Councilor Correggio owns. Again, a top-end Giorgio Armani suit that is extremely expensive that one purchases. Well, once you've purchased that Giorgio Armani suit, it obviously needs some tailoring. The arms need to be taken up, the legs may be extended. In my case, probably the waist needs to be extended. But at the end of the day, we're talking about tailoring. And that's exactly what we're doing with the PDD1 district. We're tailoring it. And we're tailoring it with one intent in mind, so that a first-class, top-shelf resort casino can be built. That is what we're asking for. That is the purpose of the zoning request. That being said, there's a number of areas, but I'll focus on 3 areas and leave the rest to questioning for those that would like to ask questions on it. First, height. Currently, the PDD1 district is zoned and allows for a structure up to 140 feet or 14 stories. Again, 140 feet or 14 stories. We're asking that that be extended, that be tailored another 40 feet. Now, does that mean the entire site, every structure is going to be 140 feet? Absolutely not. But you've heard reference from you about 2 potential hotels going on this site. We need the extra 40 feet to design proper hotels with proper rooms and a proper look to them. That is what the 40 feet is for. Secondly, setbacks. Currently, the 2 primary setbacks that we're talking about are off of Washburn Ave. It's currently at 100 feet. We're not touching that. We're asking that that stay the same, 100 feet. What we are asking, though, is that as it currently reads, that no structure can exceed 50 feet within the first 150, we're asking that that be increased to 70 feet. So we're basically asking for a 20-foot increase within that first 150 feet off of Washburn Ave. With regard to Winthrop Avenue, the current ordinance allows or requires a 100-foot set-off with 50 feet of landscaping off of Winthrop Ave. That's as it's currently stated. We're asking that that be reduced to 50 feet off of Winthrop Ave, again, with a full landscape buffer and a nice design for the Winthrop Avenue entranceway. So again, we're asking for a 50-foot reduction in terms of setback off of Winthrop Ave. And then the final one I'll touch on is the FAR, the floor area ratio, which simply deals with the gross square footage that a developer can build on. It's currently at 1. We're asking for 2. And again, the purpose of that is so that these towers can be built so that a workable, desirable resort can be developed. By way of comparison, and I bring this up because I think it's important that I mention it to the City Council, put it into evidence, and so that also the citizens of Revere know. These zoning reliefs are not a big ask, if you will. In terms of the height, we're asking for an extra 40 feet to 180. It's important to note that the PDD2 district, which is not too far away, currently is zoned for a 200-foot tower. So there's already existing zoning in the city of Revere for other parcels that exceed the height that we're asking for in PDD1. With regard to the floor area ratio, we're asking for 2. Again, I point out to the City Council that right around the corner at the W. Todd District, the current FAR can go up to 3.6. Again, we're only asking for 2 here. And if you go a little further down from the W. Todd District, the Parcel H parcel, and you go further down onto Revere Beach Boulevard, you go into the RC1 and the RC2 District, the current FAR there is 3. Again, significantly more than what we're asking for here. And then finally, the front setbacks off of Winthrop Ave that we're asking for 50 feet. I'd again point to the IP district in the city of Revere. The Necco factory, which is around the corner, currently has a 50-foot setback, as well as the other IP district in the city where the movie theater is located. the large movie theater, that's only a 50-foot setback. Again, I reference these other parcels by way of comparison so that we all know here that the zoning requests that we've made are less than comparable to what else exists in the city of Revere. And I truly wanted to point that out. That being said, I'd be more than willing to entertain other questions. On behalf of Sterling, Suffolk Racecourse, on behalf of Mohegan Sun, I ask that you vote in favor of this petition, because it's not only good for the region, it's not only good for the PDD1 district, it's extremely good for the city of Revere. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. I'm going to ask my fellow city councilors right now, just for the sake of elucidating this, if they have any questions as to your presentation now and as to the various restrictions that we're offering relief on. Do any city councilors have any questions of this, of the proponents at this point? I would ask this. I would ask you to put that picture. Well, I understand it's a preliminary design, but I think it probably, if you could put that back up, Corey, if you could probably indicate where the various relief is sought, if this were to be the design that were to be finally resolved.
Well, I would defer somewhat to you, but I would say this, that again, we're talking about a zoning envelope. And when putting together a top-shelf resort casino, one of the primary concerns is the footprint, is the floor plan. So the larger the floor plan, from an architectural perspective, my understanding is, the better the resort can be at the end of the day. Is that correct, you?
That is correct.
And maybe you could pick up on it from there.
That being said, we do want to be sensitive to the streets, and we do want to be sensitive to creating that landscape buffer that I talked about. So the difference between 50 and 100 is critical. Oops, excuse me. The difference between 50 and 100 is critical because it allows us to come forward and then draw back so that we can create the space that makes the green. Okay. But Winthrop Avenue is the elevation that runs right across that elevation there.
And Washburn is on the, well, the right-hand side of that as you're looking at that. All right, now, as I understand it, the 100 feet is going to be respected. That is now in the ordinance, but that an extra, I believe you said 40 feet or 20 feet is going to be required to rise from that 100 foot.
We're talking about elevation.
Elevation, yeah.
That's correct, Councilor Reardon. That extra 20 feet would come from that 100 to 150 foot set off of Washburn. The way the ordinance currently reads, it would allow an additional 50 feet at that point. We're asking for 70, so it's actually an extra 20 feet. So it would go from 50 to 70.
And may I assume that a lot of this is required because of the requirement to park underneath the structure? Is that where we're going with this?
I think, you know, when tossing around original design ideas, everybody felt that it would be better, more desirable resort if the parking were underneath and people could simply come up, rather than being disassociated somewhere on the property and then needing to walk over. And I think that's a common experience at many resort casinos throughout the country.
So again, it all stems from the idea that we want to get a large plate, and that plate really creates the environment.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have any questions on the council at this point?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Council President Novoselsky.
Thank you. I know we're talking about zoning, but since we're talking about photographs, where are the actual main entrances going into the facility? You know, is it on Tomasello? Is it on Winthrop Ave?
Okay. The idea is that there would be a roundabout at this location that basically takes all the roads, wherever you're coming from, into a nodal point here, and then brings you up into the porte cochere. That's a formal entry, okay? So that has to do with people that are arriving that may want to have a valet service and so forth. They come up into the central porte cochere. There are other entrances that we haven't completely figured out that have to do with the self-park sequence. There are other entrances that have to do with service that we want to hide. So you don't necessarily see them in this rendering, and we'll work to make sure that they are kind of out of sight. But there are some avenues that we're looking at that we can develop on those. But people will come into the base of the building, and then they'll rise up through it. There's a second primary entrance over here that is right across from the T-stop. And it's on the ground at street level underneath this figure. So you'll come into that. You'll be addressed in some meaningful way with some sort of retail or something like that, and then you'll rise up into the casino, and you'll be in this new resort experience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And sir, what about the secondary hotel? Where would be the access for that?
Okay, so the idea is from the porte cochere, anyone arriving would either be able to go to the right and go into a right entrance, and we'll go into the casino and then into the hotel. Or they'll go left, and they'll go into this new concept, and then into that hotel. So everyone is kind of coming to the same spot and being subdivided. Now, if you're self-parking, there's going to be another sequence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Council President. All right, with that, we have some people who have expressed a desire to speak about this, and I will start off with Mr. Tony Peroni, who I know is a gentleman representing many, many workers in this city.
Thank you, Council President.
Please state your name and your address. And
for the record, my name is Anthony Peroni. I reside at 281 Crescent Ave in Beachmont, and I represent about 2,000 laborers. About a few hundred here live in Revere. And on behalf of the tradesmen and laborers and longtime Revere residents, we support the zoning changes. They're right for this community. They're right for this project. We urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peroni. And another gentleman wishes to speak is Rich Petty, who represents carpenters, from what I understand. And Rich, if you'd please step up, state your name and address, and tell us what you'd like us to hear on this.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Rich Petty. I represent over 200 carpenters in the city of Revere, and I am in favor of this change in the zoning. Once this does get changed and hopefully voted on in the next meeting, would bring so many jobs to people of Revere. You know, people talk about the economic decline, and now it's coming back up. The last people to see work out of that typically is construction workers. My hope is when this project starts, people from Revere will be on that project. Not only people that are currently in the union, but people that come into with the apprenticeship program. We'll bring people from the town, from the city of Revere, from surrounding communities. Not only will they get a job because of the casino, but they would also get a career, 30 years, 40-year career, starting because you people go ahead with the zoning change. The money, the tax base, and not only the casino when it's done 2.5 years, you know, people say, well, that's it. The buildings that will go up because of it in the city of Revere will change the tax base for the residents of the city, bring it down, hopefully, because of all the commercial money coming in. Lastly, brothers and sisters that currently work at the track, 1,000 people. In this day and age, we talk about job creation. What people need to know is 1,000 people will lose their jobs if we don't go ahead with this program. So speaking for them, speaking for my brothers and sisters, I implore that you guys pass this and we move on to the next meeting. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Petty. Before I go forward with other people who wish to speak, I know our city planner has somewhat of an amendment that site plan review has suggested. It may be minor, but I think it needs to be discussed here because we really haven't heard it before. If Frank Stringy would like to take the podium, I'd like to hear what it is that the slight change we're doing to this recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you're aware, the Planning Board, after its public hearing, unanimously endorsed the proposed zoning amendments. However, I had the opportunity after that to review the proposed plan and subdivision plan that would create this 40-acre lot that the casino would be located on. And I'm glad the architects were here to present the massing plan, and you can see how they really want to work with the curvature of the track and form the casino around that curvature of the track. So I'm proposing a very minor amendment to the PDD1 district amendments that would create a zero setback on an interior lot line. And it's just a matter of inserting one sentence after Section 8 on footnote U. And it would be where a lot within the PDD1 district abuts another lot within the PDD1 district, there shall be no setback required along such lot line for either lot. Now, that in no way impacts the setbacks that exist off of Washburn Ave and Winthrop Parkway, and Winthrop Ave and Revere Beach Parkway, but creates an interior zero setback on an interior lot line. And the abutter to that interior lot line is Suffolk Downs, so it's not going to adversely impact anybody. And it would allow a lot more flexibility in the design and give the architectural team an opportunity to present a better site plan to the city. So with that, I would like to present this to the city clerk, and with the hopes that this committee recommends it to the city council as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Stringy. Another person who would like to speak is Louis Chaloni, who represents IBEW 123 at Suffolk Downs. I'd like to invite him to come up and speak for a moment.
My name is Louis Chaloni. I reside at 410 Park Avenue, Revere. I hope you give me a little latitude, Mr. Chairman. I was unable to speak last week. I'm a member of the planning board. I recused myself from that meeting because I'm an employee at Suffolk Downs. So I have some remarks that I'd like to make pertaining to the zoning, which would create the casino, and I'd like to address how that affects the current workers at Suffolk Downs and the future workers who will work at Suffolk Downs and the casino. As I said, my name is Louis Chaloni, and I reside with my wife, Corazon, at 410 Park Avenue. I'm a lifelong Revere resident, and my family's roots in Revere date back 3 generations. I serve as the president and business manager of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 123, and I represent the vast majority of the unionized workforce at Suffolk Downs. I'd like to thank Mayor Dan Rizzo and his staff for their dedicated work on the new casino plan. I would like to thank the Revere City Council for their continued support on this issue. If it wasn't for Revere's elected officials, all of the employees at Suffolk Downs would most likely be on the unemployment line right now. I'd like to answer a question that is so often posed to me lately. What will happen to the racetrack and the current employees who work there with the new Mohegan Sun plan? The IBEW has more than its share of lawyers working on that issue, even as we speak. I have posed that same question to Suffolk's ownership and to Mohegan Sun's executives. They have given me their commitment to racing and to the existing workforce. Suffolk's chairman of the board, Bill Mulrow, looked me in the eyes last week in front of 20 union leaders, many of whom are here tonight, and told me that the owner's commitment to racing and to our current employees is unwavering. I believe him, just as I believe Richard Fields, Joe O'Donnell, Chip Tuttle, and the executives of Mohegan Sun. I am confident that together we will keep horse racing alive well into the future. I'd also like to address an issue that bothered me during the casino debate. That was the erroneous contention that the jobs created at the casino would be low-level, minimum wage jobs. I find that position personally offensive. My negotiating team and I have negotiated contracts just last year which are similar to the contracts which were signed by me and my predecessors for generations. Agreements that provide a living wage and good benefits for Suffolk Downs workers. Let me just provide a few examples. Our mutual clerks make between $16 and $20 an hour. Our laborers make between $17 and $25 an hour. Even our entry-level employees, such as dishwashers and kitchen personnel, make at least $11 and $12 an hour. Our tipped employees, such as bartenders and waitresses, which are not covered by the minimum wage laws, are paid well above the industry standard. The company provides health and dental insurance for all full-time employees at splits in which the employer pays between 60% and 72% of the premiums, depending on the contracts. There is a life insurance policy paid entirely by the company for every full-time employee worth $10,000, as well as a 401k match for all employees. This from a company that has lost millions every year for 6 years. It only stands to reason that with a lucrative casino at that site and a fully unionized workforce, those good jobs will get even better for us and for the 3,500 to 4,000 employees who will join us at the casino. As a Revere resident, I want to tell my neighbors in East Boston that I fully respect your decision on November 5th, even though I don't agree with it. You have decided not to have a casino in East Boston. That's how democracy works. The majority wins. But please be aware that you should also respect our vote in Revere. After all, democracy doesn't end at the border of East Boston. Our votes count too. As a matter of fact, if you combine the votes of all those affected by the casino in our two cities, the yes votes outnumbered the no votes by over 1,400. We actually are the majority. Finally, I'd like to answer the question to those who live outside of this city. Why did Revere vote overwhelmingly yes on November 5th? As a lifelong Revere resident whose father sat in one of those same council seats that are here at this chamber, I know Revere is a city of hope and persistence. We are a progressive city. We welcome change and innovation. We have that can-do attitude. We continue to find ways to improve our economy, build new schools, and revitalize our beach. We want to have good jobs, and we are happy when our neighbors improve their lives. So the answer to the question of why Revere voted the way we did on November 5th is simple. The most negative word in the English language is the word no, and the most positive word in the English language is the word yes, and that's why Revere says yes. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chaloni. You probably went slightly beyond the confines that I suggested earlier in the meeting, but I have to say that I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Whether you agree with this proposal that we're going to vote on probably tonight or not, you have to appreciate Mr. Chaloni's endeavor on behalf of his side of the story. He's really, his leadership is unassailable as far as I'm concerned. With that, I would ask Mr. Maurice Morris to come in, step up to the podium if you'd care to speak.
My name is Morris Morris. I live at 19 Standish Road. I'm in a butt of the Suffolk Downs. The only thing I want to say is if anything that goes up on Suffolk Downs, I'm strictly for it. Even though it would create progress, it would give jobs to people, it would bring in security to the city, and all I want to do is to make sure that our veterans get priority for the first jobs there, and I'm all for the casino, and I'm all for 180 feet of hotel, if that's what's required with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Morris. We have two others that wish to speak, one of whom is Patty Reardon, no relation. If she could step up. Patty, you, I understand, had a question about the location of the casino relative to the roads. At this point, that you've been satisfied with that answer, or the answers given?
On some part, I have been. I live right across from where that hotel is going to go up. So the difference of the hotel height makes no matter to me. I'm in favor of doing anything to make this casino work. I'm the proud mother of a trainer that works at Suffolk Downs, who was Trainer of the Month in October. And I also live in Revere. I'm a North Shore, lifelong North Shore resident. And from what I understand about the proposal and the way it will work, even with the parking underneath, which they are doing now at the Walmart up on Route 1 in Saugus, it seems like it will be very effective. The only thing I would like is my representative to keep me informed, because my home is directly across from that hotel, and I'd like to see what's going on and the steps that are taken. I think it's a wonderful thing to happen to the city of Revere. I hope the council votes to make it go smoothly and to have the best possible entertainment center that we can have. No sense in making shortcuts. Let's go all the way with this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure your representative is Councilor Penta? Councilor Novoselsky? Standish Road? I'm sure he'll keep you informed of everything that's going on. And I know that the proponents have indicated to me that they're very, very interested in making themselves part of this community and making this part of this community. So I expect that you'll see plenty about it. Lastly, Vin Camerata wanted to speak. I invite him to come up to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, City Councilors. My message is going to be kind of brief, but just have a little patience with me, please. I represent myself, and I think I'm volunteered to represent a lot of the people that work for Suffolk County. Great people, every one of them. As a resident of Revere for 80 years, I have seen many zone changes. I have great confidence in our zoning board. I know the changes will be made according to proper rules and regulations. Zoning changes are advertised and public hearings are held. As is being done at this, this is not a public hearing, right, Mr. Chairman?
We've already had it, but...
All right, so just disregard that. Please.
No, we don't have to disregard it, Vin. We're actually a little ahead of time, so take your time, okay?
I repeat, I am in favor of this zoning change. Our city will benefit by it economically. Many new jobs will be created for the people of Revere and for others who are looking for work. May I keep going for a few seconds?
You may.
A few extra words, if possible. We are lucky Mohegan Sun is willing to join Revere to build a great casino resort. Hopefully the track will still be intact for the dedicated maintenance crews and stable area personnel who have kept Suffolk Downs Racetrack one of the finest racetracks in the country. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Camerata. I really can't understand why Mr. Camerata thought that he'd cut off one of Revere's most renowned senior citizens. I can't imagine doing that, ever. Well, with that, I guess that's about all who want to speak on this matter. At least I hope so. We invited you to fill us in as to when you wanted to do it. And I'll ask the councilor, starting with our subcommittee, to speak, ask questions, whatever they feel to say. Councilor Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know it might be a little bit premature to ask about traffic, but could anybody speak to? We've seen some changes in the entranceways. Is there any impact on traffic? I know generally 1A is still going to be where we're going to see the majority of traffic, but maybe with that Beachmont entrance, there might be some questions from folks from Beachmont wondering whether or not there'll be a traffic impact.
Sure. Councilor Rigo, thank you very much. I don't think David Black actually made it this evening, who's our traffic engineer from VHB. We are working, even with the new version of our plans here, with the resort solely on the Revere side of the property. The major traffic patterns remain the same. They remain the same. So the studies that we did in 2008, in 2010, and most recently, all of the work and interaction we've done with the Mass Department of Transportation and our MEPA filings remain pretty much intact and in effect. We are, as a result of the negative ballot question in East Boston and the positive ballot question in Revere, no part of the gaming establishment can be in Boston. So we are working with the team from Mohegan Sun to see how we accommodate entrances that are in Revere, and this is an area that we've done substantial work on in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that we will be back to you with more fulsome plans in the coming weeks on. But suffice to say that we're confident that we can do this without shifting additional traffic to the Parkway, and we also feel very, very positive about what Hugh mentioned. In some ways, this is a much stronger proposal for utilizing the Blue Line, because the Beachmont station is much more proximate to that entrance that Hugh showed you on the corner of Washburn and Winthrop Avenue. We're looking forward to beautifying the Parkway in ways to make that a very pleasant pedestrian experience, and to being able to connect people and by the T right to a pedestrian entrance. But that wouldn't be an automotive car entrance over on the Parkway. That would be a pedestrian entrance.
And I assume in the coming weeks we'll get more information about any changes that might happen in traffic, investments that are going to be made, for obviously 1A, Route 16, that the idea of the Route 1 connection on 16.
Absolutely. We certainly have to address all of the impacts, and we are working with Mayor Rizzo and his team to amend our existing host community agreement to reflect additional benefits for the city of Revere.
Okay. And are there substantial changes that will be made or need to be made in terms of water and sewer improvements? I know Councilor Powers actually alluded to it early today. Driving over on Winthrop Ave, there was actually a pretty significant water main break. So I just wonder, whether or not the change in the placement will.
I thought the timing of that break was a little curious. Right? I'm going to defer to City Planner Frank Stringy, and if need be, Scott Turner from our engineering group.
Yes, Council. Regarding traffic and infrastructure, we continue to have ongoing meetings with their engineering team and traffic engineering team. I can tell you we just had a meeting Thursday to talk just about that, water and sewer. And they know exactly where our improvements are needed to beef up our infrastructure to handle, our sewer and water infrastructure to handle this development. And I can tell you regarding traffic, we have a meeting with VHB actually tomorrow, and we're looking at paying quite a bit more attention on that intersection at Tomasello Drive, Revere Beach Parkway, North Shore Road, as well as Winthrop Avenue as it leads through Donnelly Square. And more attention on Revere Beach Parkway, Harris Street, Winthrop Ave intersection further up. And the site will have 2 access and egress points, one off of 1A and one off of Revere Beach Parkway. I can just tell you we're concentrating on improving those intersections dramatically to accommodate this new design. And it's going to be an improvement, I believe, over the last design.
Thanks, Frank. And finally, my last question, just looking at the this isn't for you, Frank, I don't think, but looking at some of the design, could you talk about the changes or the difference in the amount of retail space and gaming space that we're going to see with this design compared to the previous design that we've seen?
I'm Toby Arnheim.
Just state your name and your address, please.
Toby Arnheim. I live in Mystic, Connecticut. I'm with Mohegan Sun. One Mohegan Sun, what are we, a drive, a circle, a parkway? It's the only Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. We have obviously done this before and tried to combine projects that have other interests than just gaming, because we believe that the synergy between retail and restaurants and other things going on in our facilities encourage people to come there, not just for gaming, but for gaming and other things. So we believe that the ratio that we have works well. We think that it was a little bit light before, and we have a lot of confidence that bringing the retail to the casino will help the overall project.
So are we talking about more retail than previously?
We have approximately 130, 150, 150 now. They had 30,000 before, I believe.
And as for gaming space, how has that changed?
Same.
That's the same. Okay.
Yep. That's sort of the heart of the whole thing.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Ego. Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Chairman Reardon. This has been going on for 2 years, rallying up to State House. Our state officials supported the license for one of the casinos. Suffolk Downs has been an excellent neighbor for the city of Revere for many, many years. They've donated to a lot of organizations, and now it's coming to light that we're going to have a world casino. It's about union jobs. That's the first thing. Union jobs and revenue coming into the city of Revere. And Suffolk Downs has made an excellent presentation. It's going to be a world casino, and they've already put things in place to be able to accommodate the citizens of Revere, whether it be traffic or whatever it might be. And I support this, the zoning change where Suffolk Downs can now go forward and have a world casino. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Correggio. Council Vice President Giannino, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In terms of the zoning, everything looks great. I don't have any questions. It fits with the other zoning in the area. My only question is in regards to the wetlands that were referenced in the entrance. Does that have any effect in the zoning? Do we have any commitments to that land?
I can tell you that the architects and engineers are fully aware of the wetland issues there, and the wetland issues did, to some extent, factor into our setback requests. So they have been factored in. They will be factored in. Obviously, the state of Massachusetts doesn't take too kindly to tampering with wetlands. So I assure you they will be preserved and enhanced in any way they can be.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I think one of the issues with the wetlands is that right now it's quite constricted, okay? And I think the idea of the plan that we're putting in front of you is to improve it. So it'll be a step forward.
Thank you. Councilor Granasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Previously, Attorney D'Ambrosio spelled out, and I think in a very adequate way, in the comparable areas within our community in terms of height, in terms of fire, in terms of how we are according the new zoning for this particular parcel. And it goes to show that, and in fact, it doesn't exceed any of those already in existence within our community. So we're not looking for anything that's outrageous in this particular spot. I just think that the presentation made by, in fact, I think Chip Tuttle is now probably the 12th member of the City Council because he's been here so often, and we ought to make him honorary councilor for the year 2014. But I think, again, in making their presentation before this council, I think the honesty and the level of which they direct it, and they shy away from the very technical terms, and they try to make it in terms so that everybody that can understand what they're talking about and don't have to have an engineering degree or a law degree to understand what's going on. They brought it in terms of how we could all understand what they're trying to do here. I think their project, to begin with, is going to be first class. If anybody had the opportunity to visit Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, it's a beautiful location. It's a beautiful site. It's a great shopping experience. I think that it's just a great place to visit and enjoy yourself. Again, I make a fact that there's a lot of good people to go to these casinos, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot of these good people coming to the New Mohegan at Revere Beach. And I think that this is a very exciting time in our community. I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to do something good with our city and to bring in the revenue that's so really necessary and needed, because we all have big ambitions for new schools. We have new police stations, new fire stations. We're looking forward to a new DPW building. This all takes money. And so with this little bit of help to our commercial base, it's really going to help the residents of our community. And I have to say that quite honestly. And I really, really, truly believe that. And I think it's going to be an economic boom for our community. The only thing is I can't wait for it to start beginning. When they say 27 months, I want to see them put the shovel in the ground tomorrow and let's get going. Because I just think it's that great an opportunity. And I just think it's beyond reason that this is a great proposal for our city, and for all those naysayers out there, just be patient. And I want to see you in 3 years when you walk through that facility and show you what we've done for our community. We've done a good thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Donasso. Councilor Zambuto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Surprised me. I thought you were going to go down the line. You very, very nice. Very nice. I like that approach. Well, I'm excited, obviously, about this proposal, and we've all been involved in it. But before I even talk about the proposal, I do have to say a little something about my good friend, Louis Cialone, who is, I have to say, been for expanding gaming and been a cheerleader for Suffolk Downs and for his workers for a long time. I know him personally, and I know how loyal he has been to me as a union leader, and that's coming from a Republican, and he was the only guy that ever stood up for this Republican to get the union endorsement. Some of my other union friends use that against me, that I'm a Republican, but I'm a pro-union Republican, and I'm a certainly a pro-Suffolk Downs, Mohegan Sun Resort Casino at Revere Beach, and I like at Revere Beach. I've been using that myself, so we're on the same plan, because it is a destination, and that's what Revere is, a destination, and this is a perfect fit for a destination casino at Revere Beach. Anyhow, again, I can't say enough for the people who have been behind this project for so long, and that's why I had to mention Louis Cialone, because he has been loyal to this, even when some people were beating him up. Anyways, okay. The only other thing I want to say is to the people that are concerned about traffic, it goes back to when we were talking about 2.5 years ago or 3 years ago when we were starting to see some plans, and I think it was Chip and Richard Fields and others that said to me, do you think we're going to build $1 billion casino and not make it easy for people to get there? I mean, it's ridiculous. Of course, our traffic infrastructure is going to get better in the city of Revere because of this project. You don't build this kind of a facility and not have people able to get there easily. And you certainly don't damage your neighborhoods so that you create an adversarial position between neighbors and the casino. It's going to be good for the city of Revere, and I agree with my colleague from Ward 3 that people are going to be thanking us for what we've done here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambuto. Council President Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Continuing my efforts to make my constituents happy. If anybody other than 11 of us that are up here tonight haven't been working with Suffolk Downs, and even before when Caesars was on board, and now with Mohegan Sun, I think we have a good ball team here. From us, and we have folks to work with and be out in the ball field with. And I look forward to it. I'm not going to go into all the, the hype that everybody else is going to, because they've said good things. But I still have one issue, and it's been mentioned here numerous times, and that's traffic. With the new location now, it puts a little more emphasis on my folks that are sitting right here now, between Patty and Morris. Getting out of their street is impossible. They live on Standish and Elliott Road, and trying to get up North Shore Road, when 3 cars get through that intersection, it's impossible for them to get anywhere on time. And I implore everybody on the team to correct that situation. I've made my suggestions. I think they're valid. I hope, they end up that way. And now, even with the new location, I still think there's going to be a lot more traffic on Revere Beach Parkway between Tomasello and Harris Street. And I think we have to look at allowing those people that live along that road on the westbound side. I know there's 3 lanes on the eastbound side, but right now there's 3 lanes, but those people can't get out of their streets. It's impossible now. What will happen when the casinos come along? You're going to add another, a couple hundred cars an hour. And it's imperative, and I stress that we have to work on that traffic package between Tomasello Road and Harris Street. We got to give our folks relief. Yes, we want it, and we want the casinos, but we need that relief, and this is a very, very important location. So I stress to everybody on the team, make it happen, please. I know I'm going to help make it happen tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President Novoselsky. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I spent the early part of my life living on the corner of Revere Street and North Shore Road in this city. Wonderland was going full-fledged, 15,000 people a night. Revere Beach was at the height during the war years. Tens of thousands of people. Now that was traffic. That was real traffic. But this project is nowhere near that. And whatever traffic is coming in is going to be mitigated. The important thing about this project is the revenue for the city. Revenue so sorely needed. We talk about fixing streets. We talk about building schools. We talk about paying down the debt. And by the way, we're losing a good part of the revenue from the excise tax, the surcharge on automobile rentals, as it stands right now. So revenue is of the utmost importance to this city. The 0.75% on the meals tax, which we wouldn't have got if this one is in Boston. The 6% room excise tax, not only on the hotels that are going to be built at the casino, but the hotels that will probably be built at Shaw's, at the trailer park site, and even perhaps on Parcel H. That's important. That's revenue that comes in without sending any kids to school, without picking up their trash, without any other expenses. Now, jobs. How many kids in this city, how many parents paid for education down at Wonderland and Suffolk Downs in their heyday? An awful lot. Those extra jobs were important to the families of this city, as they will be important to the families once we support this casino and once this casino is in operation. I have in my immediate family members of local 2222, the IBEW 103, 218, the Carpenters Union, Local 7, the Ironworkers Union. Those are jobs that are important for not only my family, but for the workers of this city, the people that have been unemployed for so long, the people that stand in the union halls every day waiting to go out on a job, and there are no jobs there. That's why I'm supporting this project tonight, and I'll support it 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Council Powers. Council Penta.
You couldn't have went this way. But with that being said, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an easy one for me. As the learned attorney said when he first stepped to the podium in 1996, this was rezoned for gaming. I happen to be on the council in 1996. I was a ward councilor then in the area. I'm the ward councilor now. And back then, did I wish gaming came to Revere? Yes. We wouldn't be here today. We'd be lavishing in lower taxes, lower water rates, everything we're hoping that this casino will bring. But sometimes, you wait long enough, they say good waiters get good tips. And Revere, and I've always had this premise, I even said to Chip Tuttle, a few people, many times, I just hope we just build it in Revere. I honestly believe that. It's the right place. It belongs in Revere. Boston is Boston. We always get sidestepped that, we're actually like little Boston, of East Boston, but that's here and there. One of the councils said in 22 months this place is going to open. But the day they get the certificate that they have a license, people will be working. long before the place is open. It'll be a different type of jobs, construction jobs, and whatnot. And the one thing about the union people who are up here tonight, 2 of them actually live in Revere out of the 3 speakers. That's to say something. That, they know what their neighbors want. The mayor, no one spearheaded this harder than him to even hope and designed the mitigation package that maybe it could come to Revere. And I think he did, his wisdom, did the right thing. Because we are going to reap the benefits more in Revere than we would have sharing this. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is someone mentioned to me, it's in a flight path. The FAA regulates the flight path. It's 200 feet. Down the street, the buildings and the beach are over 200 feet. 180 feet is not going to affect the flight path. I believe it's in their conditions. I think 22 stories would probably be, you'd be too high. But you're 4 stories below that. So I don't think that's an issue. But the other thing is this. You think big, you get big things. We have a mayor that's very business-oriented. You couldn't have someone in that position as him with this coming down the pipe, because he knows what this here is going to spearhead a lot of other big things. Revere Beach, to me, is very unutilized. It's going to build that beach up to be what it should be, the first public beach in the country. I don't know how many people know that. First public beach in the country. Not in the state, in the country. Not in the region, in the country. And, I think if you put your heads together and you got, and the other good thing I'm going to bring up, and I keep jumping around, is Mohegan Suns. Who would have thought we'd have a Mohegan Suns? And trust me, like Arthur Granasso said, I'm not ashamed to say I go down there. I don't even go to Foxwoods. I go to Mohegan Suns. Want me to tell you that's how they treat you? They treat you like you're a person. They treat you, and they want to see the neighborhoods do good. They work along with you. So we end up getting the best of the best by things going maybe not our way. But you know what? When it's right, and it's the right place to go, and the people of Revere, when you have a mayor, a leader, 11 city councils, a state representative, every one of those politicians that live in Revere are behind this project. There's a reason for that, because their people are behind it. Every other politician that may happen to represent other areas. When you solely, I don't know one politician in Revere that was or wasn't in Revere that lived here is against this project. That says something that, and the other thing is, someone says that it's going to be the same type of project, it's $1 billion, $1 billion. How you spend $1 billion, trust me, you really can't screw much up if you're going to spend $1 billion. So, the thing is, the leaders we have in this city, and there's 11 of us up here, are going to make sure the right thing is done. There's no question about it. Traffic, whatever council spoke about the traffic, we have that now. That's what they're saying. Who's to say we can't make it better? And I think we put all our heads together, use the neighborhood groups, the people that get involved in this project. And I want to thank Mr. Tuttle for having some of my neighborhood people meet with him. And it'll be an ongoing thing. The more heads together, the better this project's going to be. I can't wait to vote tonight. I've been waiting, like I said, for almost 20 years. And if you're for the gaming, you're for the zoning change. And the only thing that people ask is make sure you do it right. And you know something? This is doing it right with these changes. Frank Stringy, I want to commend him. Who would have thought you have a piece of parcel that abut each other, it's still going to abut each other, and then happen to have a buffer zone in there? That is a change that just should automatically go through. And I'm glad that he picked up on it, but it's the same project. You're abutting the track to the casino with a line instead of having 50 feet or 100 feet. Now you have to change the whole design. And people ask us to do it right. And I think we have the right team in John Festa, the mayor, Frank Stringy, what I met in Chip Tuttle in the past couple of years. These people care. They're not trying to run over us and say, hey, I'm going like other developers do, and they're gone in 3-4 years. They're here to stay. This license is 15 years. I'm sure they're looking for this to go on another 100 years. So I'm in favor of this, And anybody out there that wants to be a naysayer or anything else, just wait till this is done. You'll be proud, and you're going to say, I'm glad I was wrong. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Penta. Councilor Patch?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I want to welcome Mohegan. Welcome aboard a good team. I've been with this from the beginning with the mayor and John Fester trying to get this going. I think we keep plugging away. But I want to bring up a couple of points. I grew up actually a block from the intersection of Winthrop Ave and the Parkway, within walking distance of Wonderland Dog Track and Suffolk Downs. Fortunately, I guess you say fortunately, my father and my grandfather who lived in my house were gamblers, so I never really went to Suffolk Downs or Wonderland until I got out of the service and became a police officer and worked at. My first time in Wonderland was as a worker detail, and I've worked details at Wonderland, and I also worked details in the barn area at Suffolk Downs, probably during the 70s and 80s, both places. And to bring up the issue of traffic, these people are against the casino. Their big issue, there's two of their main issues is the crime and the traffic. Well, I can say I worked in both tracks, and as a police officer in the city for over 30 years, and there really wasn't an increase of crime in either track or the traffic. When I first worked at Wonderland, they hired the details. At one time, we had 40 police officers working details there. Actually, the chief just walked in. His father worked there with his father for many years. They got the traffic moving. I'm sure these people are well qualified to get the traffic moving at Suffolk Downs. And again, I want to stress, there was no increase of crime in either track. If anything, 99% of the time, there was no problem at all working details there. I just want to stress that this is very important. Also, I want to stress that my wife was a steward, and he worked 32 years at Wonderland Dog Track. And the worst day of her life was when she got the phone call to say, no, don't come to work no more. We're closed. I mean, I don't want to see that happen to Suffolk Downs. It was devastating to those people there. They were like a family, the same as it is in Suffolk. And I feel very deeply about this, that those people need their job. And again, I want to thank Chip Tuttle for his hard work and the mayor for keep plugging away here. Nobody can tell Revere people what to do. We showed what we wanted in the election, and the people voted the majority to have the casino in Revere only. So again, I want to thank you for your hard work, and keep plugging. And hopefully we'll get some good news tomorrow. And I have no problem with these minor details with the zoning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. And before I accept a motion on this matter, let me thank city officials who are here. Again, our Mayor Dan Rizzo, John Fester, our Economic Development Director, our City Planner Frank Stringy, and Paul Capizzi, our Solicitor. I see our Chief Joe's walked in. Joe, I have to tell you, your officers and your contingent handled themselves with their usual great aplomb today, and their physical service were not necessary tonight. I'm very pleased to say that. Mayor Rizzo.
Mr. Chairman, just very briefly, I just wanted to say before you go to a vote, this has been a long, drawn-out process that could very well come to a conclusion tomorrow as to whether or not we can go forward. But I think it's important for me to recognize you as a city council, that in all seriousness, without your unanimous and unwavering support, we would not have been this far. I can guarantee that. I continue to be questioned about city council support. What do other elected officials feel? Really, had it not been for your unanimous continued support, the resolutions that you've put forward, the positive votes that you've taken, we would not be in this position. So really, I just want to, on behalf of everybody sitting here behind me, Mohegan Sun, Suffolk Downs, my administration, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for all that you've done to get us to this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Rivera. And as the chairman, I'll just direct a few comments specifically regarding the zoning. I think it's fairly obvious that these zoning requests are minimally obtrusive. As Councilor D'Ambrosio pointed out, this has been a gaming zone for some time now. All we're doing is we're, again, tailoring it to the specifics. I think the definitional changes greatly enhances exactly what we're trying to do here. And especially in as much as the fact that, we have been pro-force for development in this city. This has been an industry in our city for many, many years. It's fallen on bad times, no doubt about it. With the loss of Wonderland and the decline of the racing industry, this is an opportunity to bring an industry that's been well known as part of Revere back to life. And these zoning changes, to the extent that they pave that way, both good and necessary. I would also mention the fact that there's barely been a voice in this community, at least, that has opposed this. And that's probably maybe the most important and significant thing for both everybody in this room and the rest of the world, okay? Because we're all on the same team just about in this city. With that, I'll accept a motion to recommend or not. Councilor Janino, you move to recommend this to the full city council? So moved. All in favor? All in favor? All right, that's good. This matter will be reported out favorably to the entire city council, which, my apologies, by the way, to Council President Novoselsky, which will take place immediately. Thank you.